Rolex watch prices have always been on the rise, but as the saying goes, what goes up must eventually come down. We're diving deep into the world of luxury watches, particularly Rolex, and uncovering a major shift that's been happening beneath the surface. We'll explore why the iconic Rolex watch, once synonymous with status and prestige, has lost its shine in recent times. Stay tuned till the end because you won't believe the surprising reasons behind this decline. And understanding these changes is crucial if you're a watch enthusiast or collector. The Rolex watch craze that once stood as a symbol of wealth and status has lost its luster. The famous Swiss luxury watchmaker is facing a rough time, with sales going down and its customer base shrinking. It seems that the rapid growth we witnessed in the past has now hit the brakes, and what used to be a thriving trend has turned into a bit of a letdown. Today, let's talk about our experiences in buying, selling, and collecting watches. There are a few reasons behind Rolex's decline. First, the company has been slow to keep up with what today's consumers want. In the old days, Rolex watches were considered timeless investments, but now people are more into stylish and innovative designs. Second, the rise of smartwatches has hit Rolex hard. Smartwatches do things that regular watches can't, like tracking your fitness, giving you directions with GPS, and sending you mobile notifications. Because of this, many folks are choosing smartwatches over traditional ones. Lastly, Rolex watches are just getting too expensive for many people. The average price of a Rolex watch has gone up by more than 50% in the last 10 years, making them way out of reach for many. If you're new to the world of collecting watches, there was a time when watches from prestigious brands like Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet were incredibly popular. Many factors contributed to this trend, but we won't get into all of them right now. The bottom line was that these highly sought-after watches were flying off the shelves. They were in high demand. People were eager to get their hands on one for various reasons. Some wanted to sell them later for a profit, taking advantage of their popularity, while others simply wanted to own them because they were so well liked. This phenomenon isn't unusual. It happens in the luxury goods market and beyond. There's another reason for the decline, which has to do with a shift away from the idea of spending without limits. And this shift has been influenced by a desire to control inflation, especially in the United States. As a result, people are spending less money, and we're starting to see the effects of these changes. Now, if we look at this from a collector's point of view, rather than someone who buys a watch to show off or indulge themselves, it's important to make that distinction. Let's dig deeper into different categories, starting with the status of modern Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet, with a touch of Richard Mille, which forms a slightly different subcategory. All of these brands have seen a noticeable decline, not only in reduced demand, but also in pricing. While it used to be impossible to walk into an authorized dealer and buy a Rolex or secure a sought-after AP Royal Oak, the prices in the grey market have dropped significantly. The Daytona, previously valued at $45,000 to $50,000, can now be found for around $24,000 to $25,000. Similarly, Patek Philippe's Aquanaut, which used to fetch over $100,000, is now available in the market for $40,000 to $50,000, signaling a significant change. Sometimes, the prices dip even lower, because these watches have also attracted individuals who aren't necessarily watch enthusiasts. When it comes to Richard Mille watches, there has also been a decline in demand. These casual buyers may not be as focused on consumer or luxury goods. Now, people are buying these watches because they genuinely appreciate and enjoy them. Enthusiasts who used to hope for lower prices are now finding them within a range they can afford comfortably. The trend involves people who plan to keep the watch indefinitely and wear it, rather than catering to casual buyers who want to impress others. The emphasis has consistently been on those who are truly enthusiastic about these watches. Now let's dive into the world of vintage watches, breaking it down into categories such as vintage Rolex, vintage Patek Philippe, and vintage Audemars Piguet. We'll also touch on vintage watches from other brands. From our current standpoint, it's worth noting that online listings may not always reflect actual selling prices, but there does appear to be a noticeable drop in the pricing of vintage Rolex watches. Auction catalogs for these timepieces show lower prices compared to what they once achieved at major auction houses. Moreover, there's a distinct trend of vintage Rolex watches shifting out of collections. moving away from individuals who initially saw them as investments, given the limited production of vintage Rolex models. While the potential for a good return on investment over a long period may still exist, more and more vintage Rolex watches are entering the market as a strategy to free up funds. This phenomenon is being observed among dealers, collectors, and individuals involved in the watch market. It's become a favorable time to explore the vintage Rolex market. In the past 3 or 4 years, vintage Rolex watch prices were quite high, but now there's an opportunity to find excellent deals. Notably, vintage Submariners and GMT Masters are more affordable at the moment. While it may not be the ideal time to sell these watches from your collection if you're waiting for peak prices, it's an excellent time to think about adding one to your own collection. Similarly, this trend extends to certain Patek Philippe models and vintage Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks. The prices for these watches have decreased significantly, except for some ultra-premium collector's pieces. While there has been a pullback, it's not as drastic as what we're witnessing in the modern Rolex or Patek Philippe markets. There's still a noticeable adjustment happening, making it a time worth considering for enthusiasts and collectors. Brands that are more centered around enthusiasts, such as Omega, have a solid following. While it's true that some people outside the enthusiast community also buy these watches, there's still a significant demand among enthusiasts, even though the demand for new offerings might not be at its peak. Especially compared to previous levels, the pre-owned market for these watches maintains robust demand. Enthusiasts continue to express a keen interest in collecting watches. Despite occasional pessimistic comments suggesting a bleak outlook, it's important to consider the larger perspective rather than assuming everything is in a perpetual state of decline. The fact is, everything goes through a natural life cycle, so it's a matter of perspective. People are still actively involved in the processes of buying, selling, trading, and collecting watches. What's particularly interesting is the growing interest in more specialized brands that may have taken a back seat during the era dominated by Rolex and Patek Philippe investments. People are shifting their focus toward modern brands that currently offer better deals. There seems to be a change among collectors who initially sought vintage Rolex or Patek Philippe but found prices escalating. As a result, they've turned to alternatives like vintage Omega or vintage Tag Heuer. While these areas have not experienced a significant downturn, they aren't thriving as much as modern Rolex or Patek Philippe. Enthusiasts are still interested, but the pace has slowed, indicating a preference for diversifying their collections. It's important to note that there might be fluctuations in these categories influenced by factors beyond immediate control, such as regional dynamics, global events, elections, and geopolitical situations. The overall trend is leveling out, signaling that while the boom may be over, there's potential for stability and even opportunities for those considering entry into these markets. As we conclude this discussion on the evolving landscape of the luxury watch market, dynamics are shifting, presenting both challenges and opportunities for collectors and enthusiasts alike. The once booming trends in luxury watches, particularly in the vintage segment, have undergone adjustments, prompting a closer look at diverse brands and models. Whether Rolex can regain its former glory remains to be seen, but the company will need to make some major changes to survive in the changing luxury market. And that concludes this video for today. You can share in the comments below your thoughts regarding this downturn experienced by Rolex. Also, if you are new to this channel, feel free to like and subscribe to Luxury Focus to stay updated to all our latest videos. See you at the next one.